ever. Do you guys ever think about dying?
Please say hello to Death himself, the Grim Reaper!
My name's Will, and I'm dead. I know it's sad, but hey, a lot of awesome people are dead. It happens.
And who knows? After long work and dedication in the long run.
What long run? In the long run, we're all dead. I'm not gonna die. You see, I'm into this thing where if I get sick, I mean real sick, where I'm about to go, they just take me away and freeze me.
Although he is certain to die, perhaps from a household accident, which account for 65% of all unnatural deaths.
All right, we did not die today. I call that an unqualified success.
You're all gonna die. What's wrong with it?
I'm dying too.
You're going to die.
Prepare to die.
Death is full of surprises, huh?
You have no idea.
Welcome to Mortality Movies. I'm your host, Gail Rubin, the doyen of death. That's death, not deaf. A doyen is a woman who's considered senior in a group who knows a lot about a particular subject, and that would be me when it comes to the party no one wants to plan, a funeral or memorial service. In this series, we look at film clips from television shows and films related to death, grief, funeral planning, and end-of-life issues. And I am joined by my panel of death experts, Danielle Slupeski and Jenna Reeves. They are both death doulas, and Jenna is also a grief coach. And studies indicate you will remember information related to a television or film scene 30% more than you will just listening to a speaker. So we're combining the films and the speaking, so hopefully you'll learn something about planning ahead for our 100% mortality rate and take some action to plan ahead. And if you're watching this program on YouTube, know that the clips are separate. In the description box below, you will find links to look at those film clips. Our topic today is cremation ceremonies and grief. You may not know it, but the cremation rate in the United States is over 60% now, nationwide. And in specific states, it's even higher, as much as 80%. So there are a lot of people getting cremated in the United States. And the way we do it in the United States does not provide a good avenue for grieving. The body kind of disappears and is taken to usually an industrial area and is cremated, and then the cremated remains are returned to the family. So in this episode, we're talking about cremation ceremony as a way of helping those loved ones mourning the loss to process their grief. Our first clip is from the 2008 Japanese film Departures. This won the Oscar for Foreign Language Film in 2008. And we are going to witness the start of a cremation, as is often done in Japan. Many in America don't have that ceremonial opportunity when cremation takes place. And you can see the son was kind of conflicted. Well, he was trying to get his mom to shut down the public bath. And the guy who ran the crematory operator, was a regular there and, helped her heat the water for the baths. So what do you think of this ceremonial send-off for cremation? We don't see much of that it is offered by some funeral homes for a premium price.
Yep.
But I would say it's worth it.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with the idea of rituals and how we process the transition aspect of a loss. And so one of the things that can be really beneficial from a grief perspective for that is to witness a transition in your loved one's life very similarly to how you've witnessed other transitions for them. And so it's a way of helping, or using ritual, I should say, to help bring the connection full circle in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I think you brought up something really important there, Gail, about, you know, funeral homes will help you do this and offer a viewing before cremation for a premium price. And one of the things I like to discuss with families that I'm working with is that once someone dies, there is no emergency. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to rush and call the funeral home and have the body picked up. Mm-hmm. We can sit at home together for as long as we need to. Mm-hmm. You can hold a home viewing or a home funeral even, and still go through the entire cremation process, not spend any more money, right? There are lots of people available to help assist through that process. Yeah. And it can sound really scary, but this used to be how we dealt with our dead. Yeah. Not so long ago that we still use the words, right? We call it the living room because we used to put our dead people in the parlor, right? And for their viewings. So we still use the words. It's not that far back in our history that we tended to our own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, and the choice of cremation is not always agreed upon by different family members. Different generations might prefer burial over cremation. Our next clip is from the 2016 film Captain Fantastic. Viggo Mortensen stars as Ben. He's a father who is devoted to raising his 6 children off-grid in the Pacific Northwest. His wife, their mother, has died by suicide, and her family, her parents, arrange a Catholic funeral in Albuquerque, by the way. It was filmed here in Albuquerque, and that was not her wishes, but her parents' wishes. So Viggo Mortensen and family crashed the funeral and let everybody know what she would have wanted. Let's watch this clip. Talk about funeral crashing.
I'll say.
But you can see the conflict within this family. I mean, the husband and the children, they've got one point of view, and the parents have their other point of view.
When there's conflict in this way about these decisions, it can bring up questions about who a funeral is really for. Is it for the living? Is it for the deceased? How do we honor their wishes? And what's the best way to do that in a collaborative way? Yeah.
Great question.
And it's a complicated one because it's something that I know I see fairly often in terms of working with clients and families, is that it's hard to know what to pick because sometimes someone hasn't indicated their wishes, but if they have, there could be concerns based on your own personal beliefs. And sometimes I even see people have trepidation about, well, I don't want to do cremation because it might hurt my loved one. It's a physical burning process, and so there's some mental conflict there as well.
Not like they're going to feel it.
Right.
Right. Well, in fact, this story continues. We have another clip from Captain Fantastic with the result of them being there. They actually dig up her body from the cemetery and take it back to the Pacific Northwest to give her the cremation ceremony that she wanted. So she got the send-off she wanted with singing and dancing and flushing down the toilet.
There's that undisclosed location.
Yes. But how, well, a couple of things about this. Open-air cremation in the United States is generally illegal. There is a place in Colorado, Crestone, Colorado, where you can get a legal open-air cremation, but I believe you have to establish residency there. But still, that idea of ceremony around a cremation, very important.
Very. It's one of the things that can really be helpful when it comes to grief with ceremony and ritual is that it is allowing you to honor wishes and say goodbye in a way that makes sense for you and honors that. And if you know that it honors that person's wishes, it also adds to that as well. So one thing that is often stated when it comes to planning funerals is that you're much more likely to experience a healthy grief process if you are honoring that person's wishes in a way that either you know that to be true that they specified, or that you just know to be true from indirect conversation or however that has occurred. So complicated grief can arise if wishes and ceremony and ritual are not enacted.
So I do want to get this one last clip in from a very quirky film called He Died with a Falafel in His Hand from 2001, an Australian film. And yes, as the title suggests, a man has died. He has been cremated, and his friends are giving him a send-off ceremony involving, in Australian, they call it barbie, a barbecue. So let's watch this clip. So all of these people throwing things on the fire, it relates to the story that preceded. So each was putting in an object of significance. But what a neat way to do that, you know, just have a regular conventional cremation and then have a fire ceremony with the cremated remains.
Yeah. It reminded me, one of the things that I like to do with family members when the body is picked up, say someone dies at home, is standing around the bed or the, you know, wherever the person was, and creating a memorial in that space. So very similar to this, where we place objects or photos and tell stories and memories. So now maybe as you're waiting for the hospital bed to be picked back up, that's not just an empty space. It's now a memorial and an honoring area. So same kind of idea, just bringing personalization into these rituals, however they work for you.
Yes, personalization is really key in this process, and there's a lot that ritual and ceremony can afford us to personalize.
And there's a lot that funeral directors can learn about that. They need to really bring that creativity into that space. And I think that they would benefit from applying that creativity.
Yes, always more to learn.
Yes. Well, hey guys, we have a contest. You may have noticed that the opening credits and the closing credits for Mortality Movies are a collection of film clips. And if you can guess all of the sources of those clips and send me a list by email to gail@agoodgoodbye.com, you can win this wonderful t-shirt, which says, talking about sex won't make you pregnant, talking about funerals won't make you dead. So do that, start a conversation today.
Hey, I'm going to buy you these books, I think, because I think you should read them, you know, instead of that cat book.
That's pretty serious stuff there.
Yeah, because I'm obsessed with death. I think it's a big subject with me. Yeah.
Death, to die, to expire, to pass on, to perish, to peg out, to push up daisies, to push up posies, to become extinct, curtains, deceased, demised, departed, and defunct.
I'm watching Cocoon. The spaceship is taking the old people into space. That's the happy ending for old people.
If only it were that easy, huh?
Yeah, I remember seeing this in the theater 30 years ago. But it's a whole different thing when you're in the demographic.
So bad.
It's like a Black Mirror.
So bad.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I think it looks like death.
David,
it looks
death.
like mourning. I mean, it looks...
Every movie in every cinema is about death. Death sells.